Hey everybody, I'm Chris DeLeon. This is
Kelly Mark. I'm the talent scout and I go out looking for people to make games with you.
Kelly and I were discussing the other day about ways we're getting involved in HomeTeam, and I realized that one of the challenges people have, right, is that there's this lots of things they could be doing, but as to what the right thing is to do, it depends on what track they're on, right? What they're trying to move forward for their career, for their portfolio, or if there's a game they want to build. Can you talk about how that transition was like between you had the sheep game, it was a prototype, and now it's like it's happening? What did that look like?
Yeah, it was a great transition from not having any idea when I would ever be able to finish this game I wanted to make to, oh, look, it's actually happening and progress is being made and there's like a release date and everything.
What is the release date?
April 21st.
Right, and all the time, right, we talk to people who are in our game developer meetups we go to. I know you bounce around some. I do game dev CT and Boston meetups and myself too, and GDCs and whatever. And we'll ask people like, when is your game coming out? And they don't know. And we know you're going to release it that way because we've out of now actually about 200 games out of HomeTeam have released on time over the years. And this is part of where you had this idea for a certificate of sorts, right? And I think it's probably inspired by I know you've done some boot camps and things, being able to kind of either document the story or track what's going on there. Do you want to speak a bit about even the thinking you had when you brought up this like, kind of certificate idea?
Yeah, I was just thinking that it would be really cool if you could kind of track how your progress is going. Like you could see which areas you wanted to work on more and see different goals that you like, solid goals that you can set for yourself. And then you also have something to show, applying for jobs or something. You can say, hey, look, I actually did all of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is part of why this page, right, is set up. So, A, it's a public link, right? This is not something that's only internal use only. And granted, members don't have to have this if they don't want to. But it is written so that anybody from the outside can mouse over it. So, for example, we have this distinction here called Game Changer, which you're not at just partly because you're more recent in joining our community, but people have contributed, say, 8 of 13 weeks a quarter. Inside HomeTeam, we know what that means. Outside, they don't. So we call it a consistent contributor. When you mouse over it, it explains what it is. So it becomes easier for someone outside of our groups to gauge what that's all about. And like you say, it's formatted to be shared to tell that story. Part of what appealed to me about the State of the Certificate is how it ties into our newer explanation for we've helped a lot of people over the years, depending on if they're trying to make their own game ideas, if they're trying to move their career forward, if they're trying to just enrich and like learn a variety of skills and stuff. And those are all valid, but they're different lenses, right, on what we're trying to get out of it, how we're trying to go about it. And this helps us really kind of tie, okay, on the other side of joining, how are we filling in those boxes? What are we doing that's moving us forward? And that this is neat too, because you brought in a bunch of career background already. You've already been doing games professionally. You already have some extra experience and applied different jobs, have cleaned up a resume, partly from the boot camp and stuff. Right? It wasn't you have to start from zero. You were able to build on things you'd already
Yeah.
done. So what are some of the things you did before HomeTeam, just for kind of upset people for context?
I've worked on an app of games for testing and tracking vision. I did a boot camp for software development. I made my website and a little game on there. So, yeah, I came in with some experience already.
Yeah, which is also to say, right, and this is where it's perfectly normal if someone joins, they may not immediately have, I don't know, what is it, level 18. There's a range of folks in our community who've been around for, had more head start, less head start. Pull up another example of Ryan Malm, who he has, I think he was like a 2017 winner of a major game jam that had hundreds of responses in it. One of maybe JS, one of those kind of jams. So he came also with a lot of experience and background. But notice too, right, in his case, not as many boxes checked in career because that's not his focus with us, right? He's trying to, there's certain games he wants to make. He's really stacking his points in a certain column. And as part of what I like about this is it kind of identifies these different journeys people are being on. With Cass, it's been real important for enrichment and career. For Ian, again, career is not his priority. We do have, and this is H is kind of one of our longest running people involved in Home. He's also our membership development person. So this is an abnormal amount of stuff at level 33. But even there, I like to point out, right, he's not 100% in all the categories. That's not the point. It is partly identifying where are our goals, where we're trying to grow into it, and that there's absolutely nothing wrong with looking at it and saying, okay, well, my purpose isn't to lead projects. And so this is like out of Ian's. Again, like he's led some projects, a couple, but for the most part, he really likes contributing to other games. He's contributed on more than 15 other projects. Obviously, we're talking about these people who, if you're outside of this group watching these videos, you don't necessarily know these people yet, but what this comes down to, right, is about picking your path, thinking about your angle, your priority, because you can over time accumulate experience more in these categories, but if we can focus on what's going to be helpful to us.
Yeah, it's just really helpful to see, like, for what I want to achieve, here are some solid goals and helps me focus on the things that actually matter for what I want.
People, when they were looking at this, and again, you'll even see this in the people who have had experience in our group too, say, well, there's kind of like I'm 30% this, 40% that, 50% this, which is valid, right? We're all in some sort of
Yeah.
gradient, but there's still inevitably there are conflicts that come up where when these two things are at odds with each other, I have to make a decision where it's going to lean towards one way or the other. which one is going to currently win out for me. And so we prepared a quiz for that. It's just take the quiz, includes a gift at the end. Or people go to ygamedev.com to check it out. And it's only 8 questions long, right? But it playfully kind of asks some like fantasy RPG questions. What was your story before this, right? Have they done tutorials? And then helping them weigh. And the outcome of this, right, is you're getting an email with both your scores across categories. So you can see like I'm kind of 20% this, 50% that, as well as a gift related to it from my background and a chance to set up a call with me if you want to chat about their particular questions. And that is where that's been really helpful, helping them navigate and see. I can get to know a bit about their background, what they want to do with our group, if it would be a fit, including, honestly, if we're not a fit, I will help steer them in a different direction and be like, you're describing graduate school. You're describing something else, which is valid. And I would rather them go do that, because if we're not the right answer for them, I'm aware of lots of other things from my years of doing this kind of stuff to try to point them towards. One more thing I want to say, and whether you get through it through one of these pathways, or if you just want to skip to the apply page and find out the details about our group, which includes our detailed FAQ for people with lots of questions. This clarifies it all for y'all. Kelly, why should they apply sooner rather than later if they're seeing this video on January 31st, 2024?
Well, because the price is going to go up soon.
Yeah, and it only goes up, right, if they haven't applied yet. And this in terms of like if they apply after February 1st, sometime in the AM Eastern time zone, then it'll be at the new rate. And we never increase our rates for members who've already been with us. So part of what we've had members, right, who've been with us for years, they are at the same rate they always were. I was inspired by that from, I had this great landlord in Atlanta. And as long as I was staying in that spot, he just didn't want to go out looking for more people. He let me keep my same rent. And so, man, I was pretty happy there for a few years, keeping my older rent while everyone else was going up, who was moving in later than me. But he was also happy to see me leave because my spot was worth more than I was paying for it. But anyway, that is part of how we're structured to make sure people can kind of get that in there. And remember, right, when they apply, it doesn't create any obligation. They can still apply, find out in a week. They're likely to get through if they're interested in it, but I can size up where they fit, would they fit, send them questions for clarification if they got it. And they can still decline, right? They can just ignore the email. They're not committed to anything. There is no minimum time period. This also includes, we do have a 2-week trial. If people join, decide it's not for them, they can get a full refund on it. And also, there's also a bit about how the sponsorship works. Kelly, are you able to explain a bit about how the sponsorship program works, looks like? People get real confused about that.
Yeah, if you're having trouble paying for any reason, you can apply. You just tick a little box that you'd like to apply for a sponsored membership, and you'll be put on like a waiting list kind of a thing. So it may take a little longer than a paid membership, but you get your dues covered.
Yeah, and so that's something, right, we've had over the years. Let me just kind of skip through, get some gifts, get some things. Here we go. So at this slide, right, it is something where through Patreon, we have consistent supporters over the years. So people who are basically helping cover about 20% of our memberships in HomeTeam. So the members are not needing to pay directly for themselves. They're never asked for payment information. They don't owe anything. They're not in any sort of accrued debt or anything. It's purely covered for them. But it is obviously, more of our spots can open up flexibly around people who are able to cover their costs, in part because it's offsetting the pool of resources in our community of our various support trainer services, our onboarding, our legal backend. We are run as a properly functioning, sustainable business. How we've been able to do this for 8 years consecutive and going strong is that these people are paid for their time, right? I'm not asking them to volunteer. I don't want to burn out good people who are willing and able to help. Some of them have teaching backgrounds. Many of them have industry backgrounds. A lot of them experience in HomeTeam contexts. And this is part of what makes it work, right? Where even if someone isn't necessarily using those calls themselves, their teammates are, right? So this is where we result in better art, better sound, better leadership, better projects that release on time. And it's also why out of our community in a way that's so different from just a random, nothing wrong with it, random Discord out there, random subreddit, random, game jam group. If someone just dips in, right, and only chips in one thing, the game is still going to come out on time. It's got all the other support that it needs to be seen through. And then when the game does get released, then I go back through and I get the detailed credits. And this is where contributions are never going to be equal in terms of experience level, quality, category, and that's okay. But I make sure our credits are very, very specific about who did exactly what, which again is helping them carve their own path, tell their own story, do what's ever best for them. And actually, you know what? Actually, while I'm talking about that, can you talk a bit about, people get real confused as well about the task breakdown, right? They're picturing like a job or a school where someone's going to assign them something or tell them what to do.
So when somebody pitches a game, they create a schedule of the things that the game needs in order to be released on time. And at any point, you can go and look at the schedule and just say, oh, I want to do that, and take a task. And yeah, it's super relaxed.
People will freely drift between projects. And this is part of why these lenses have become so important for us. So for example, if someone's focus is, I really want to get good at modeling, they can bounce around between different games and just do modeling on things that are useful for them to model. If someone only wants to work on level design, they can bounce and split between projects to do level design. Or if someone wants to really get deep on Unity, Unreal, Godot, and JavaScript, they can focus on just those projects and go deeper on those. It purely comes down to what's helpful for them about, Are they trying to check career boxes? Are they trying to fill their repertoire of tool sets? Are they trying to move forward on realizing their own idea? And so that is what we're all about here in HomeTeam, is make sure the projects are serving the members. It's not that they're making my games. These are all freeware. They're all released for portfolio. It's all just people doing whatever's helpful for them to learn through. And that's the context where all of our members then are chill with each other, understanding of each other's learning process, because we're all just here to have fun, make things, and learn from each other. But so anyway, so if people are interested in finding out more about it, go to hometeamgamenow.com. You'll find all the information clicking through whatever pathway applies to you. If you can't decide, you can take the quiz or go to whygamedev.com.
Come join us and make games with us.
Bye.